Hey everyone, hope you're having a great ice season so far. I got a box here. I went ahead and ordered some things from Summit Fishing. I seen the new Garmin Live Scope. It's not really that new, I guess. It's been out for a little bit now. I seen it in action. I went ahead and upgraded. But if you don't know, I'm going to let you know. This thing comes with your graph like normal. And then this quite large, quite heavy black box. This is a 9-inch unit, 95 SV. And you can see this box is as big as the unit and much thicker, and it weighs quite a bit. Many of you know, some of you don't. I just basically built my box for my last Panoptics. But when you get the graph, this big black box, your lithium battery, the big transducer that this comes with, and then a pole and everything, it's just not really very feasible to put it into a box that you buy from the store. You definitely can. A lot of guys have done that really well and successfully. But for me, weight and size is huge. So I went ahead, ordered this shuttle from Summit Fishing, and something for the boat also. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open it up. Let's see what we got. Hopefully everything's awesome. I'm definitely going to give you honest thoughts on how this stuff all is, how it all fits together. We'll build it together and see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead here. We'll just open it up first. See what's in the box. Hopefully they shipped us everything. Get a good overview of what I think of everything. I am going to give you some recommendations on what I would do different, especially if you're in Canada and you're ordering this stuff. But I'm pretty excited to get this all together. So let's see what we got here. Just put the graph and all this stuff on the floor so I don't drop it. So this obviously is the pole I ordered. So we'll get that together in a bit. But you can see I just want to tinker with stuff. Look at that. That's very nice. Already, I'm impressed with this. This is already nicer than I thought it was going to be. So already happy with that. I'm going to have Ian put it together. So we'll put this together after I figure out what tools I need. That's going to be the quick transducer mount and the handle for the pole. This, what is this? Okay, this is going to be the arm for the shuttle. So this arm is going to attach to our shuttle, put our pole in it. I'm going to keep it all in the bag just for now, so I know exactly what tools and stuff go together, what I need. Oh, this is the piece I ordered for the boat. So this is the perspective mount for the boat. Watched tons of reviews on it on YouTube already. And I like that you can adjust it much easier than the Garmin one. And that it is tiltable, so you can tilt your transducer down to get it to work better in deeper water. I will do a totally separate thing on this once I get it installed on the boat and see how that works. So this is going to be the bag for the shuttle. Just going to put it on the floor for a sec. Get the shuttle out here. Plastic. This must be, oh, there's the bill. This must be the shuttle. Already without opening this, I can tell you one thing. It's going to be a lot more assembly than I was anticipating. I basically thought I was going to get the shuttle, maybe add one or two pieces onto it, put it in the bag. That is not the case. But that's okay. I'll go ahead, I'll turn the camera off, and I'll figure out exactly what tools and everything I need. And wow, we'll go ahead and put this thing together. And I guess it can't hurt to just film it, and maybe you're having some troubles getting it together or whatnot, or you're like me and you weren't quite expecting this much assembly, and we can do it together. There's some wires in here on the switch. I can see that already and everything. Then you get the basic gist of the pieces. So, okay, excellent. This stuff all looks really good. It feels nice and heavy duty. So, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to turn the cameras off, figure out all the tools I need, and we'll be back. We'll build this thing together and get it all set up. Okay, I made it back. I think I have everything I need to assemble this shuttle. I dumped all the screws and bolts and stuff just into a dish so I could see what was going on and what I would need. I also know that I'm going to want these spade connectors. So, like many of you, I'm going to switch this unit between the ice fishing shuttle and the boat. That way I can put one end on the boat, one end on the shuttle, and then I can just switch back and forth my unit to whatever power source I want. Just put these spade connectors on everything. Handheld Phillips screwdriver. I really think it's important to use a handheld, not a drill or a power screwdriver, just because when you feel this, it is plastic, and although it feels very strong and heavy duty, well made, you know, I could definitely imagine if you screw too hard into these pre-drilled holes, you could split this plastic and then ruin your shuttle. So I definitely suggest a handheld. I happen to just want to use a ratchet instead of pliers or something. So I have an 11 mil and an 8. As far as I know, those are the only two sizes I'm going to need. Again, I chose the small one, so I'm not over tightening, cranking on things. And some wire tools, because we are going to be doing a little bit of wiring. Although it is very basic, these will be handy. So you might want to have those. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about these. My wife happened to get these off Amazon. They're just a Velcro wire tie. So I can just put them around the wires like such, and you know, I'll be able to use those instead of zip ties or anything, because you should not use zip ties on these wires. Okay, so I'll put that aside. Alright, so I'm about ready to get going on putting this thing together. Like I said, much more than I had anticipated. So, we'll do it together. Let's get this thing assembled. I'll definitely have lots of cuts in this video to make it as short as possible. But let's go ahead here and see if we can't figure this out. The first thing they're telling us to do is to locate this. And this was in a separate bag. This is the battery clamp. So I'll go ahead here, get all the parts for that. And the end with this little extra piece is the back. I'm going to want my battery like so, because then my charging cable I'm going to have out nice and convenient. That's my plan anyways. So we'll take this piece, and they give you two very small wood screws to put it in with. No pre-drilled holes, which I really like, because then you're going to be able to change your battery size or whatever, and you screw it into a new spot and it'll be nice and secure. So if you're having trouble figuring out which ones they are, they're these really small, tiny little Phillips wood screws, and they're a different color than everything else in here. Just wanted to make sure that they are, and they are a different color. They're a little more shinier and more silver if you're having trouble figuring that out. So I'm going to push that tight. You need a very fine tip Phillips for these screws, I come to find out. Put that in there. Push nice and firm. Should start digging in like it is. And I'll just get this screwed in, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I got that fastened down nice and tight. And again, this is plastic, so be sure not to super over tighten everything. You don't want to crack or strip any holes. Well, I think we can take our battery out of there now. Move on to the next step. So next step is the side installation. Okay, so the next part is to put the sides on. And I've already discovered that this is going to be a little bit challenging, but I think I found a little bit of a trick to make it a little easier. Okay, now these are the sides. You want to make sure these lines are going up and down. You want the fat part to the inside, and again, where the extra piece is the back, towards you is the front. These will only line up one way, and that's how they're going to go on either side. So it's a little 3/8 that you use for that, okay? And there'll be a nut on the other side, okay? Now, what they've done here, which is actually quite good and smart, but a little tricky to get in there, is hopefully you can see that in there where I put that nut in there. Okay, so when they made this, they made these holes so that that nut fits in there securely. You don't need to hold it, and it's going to be flush with everything. So it won't interfere with batteries or wires or anything like that. Now, to get that in, I definitely found very tricky. So what I did is I took another bolt, a longer bolt, with the same nut that'll screw onto it. I barely screwed it on, and then I could look at it right nice and straight, and I could make sure that I push that in there perfectly straight and flush, like that one did not do. I'm finding this part very tedious, but it is a good design. It just takes a little bit of patience. I got that one in there perfect once I took the time to do it. It takes quite a bit of force, and then I can screw this one out. There you can see now. So I have two of them in there, perfectly straight and flush, aligned like they're supposed to be. Because whatever you do, you don't want to get things cross-threaded and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead, do all of that, and then screw these sides on, and then we'll continue. And again, you don't want to over-tighten anything on this shuttle. You can really tell that whatever kind of plastic it is, it's strong. But I'm quite confident that if you start over-tightening everything, you're going to crack it. So there's one side. And there was 4 of those nuts to get in there, by the way. When you're doing this, you can tell like it really fits all together quite nicely. I'm glad I put all the hardware in that dish. Nice and snug. And don't snug one really tight. Keep going back and forth a little bit on each one at a time, kind of like you would a car tire, to make it even force and evenly tight. Okay. So, it's starting to come together. We got our sides on. Okay, so next it's actually calling for the back. And this, I don't know, I'll just call it the top shelf piece that your unit screws onto. So this is the back. And it's going to go with these rough parts, edges in, flat part to the outside. And you'll see when you look at it, there's the same system here. There's these holes that are pre-made for the nuts. And it just kind of slides right in. Like so. And just like that, like I can tell this is all going to fit together perfect. So there's 2 on each side, and then there's 1 down here at the bottom. And it's saying that these all use the same nut and bolt that we used on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead, do the same thing I did with getting the nuts in there, get that all assembled, and then we'll move on to this piece is next, is what it says. I'm going to cut here. I'm going to get all these nuts in here like I did with the last one, and get that all together, and then we'll get this other piece put on. Starting to come together. So what I'm going to actually do here is just start all of these and then slowly tighten up as I go. What I found was that the plastic part that's formed on the other side here for this particular side piece, the holes weren't really finished off, I would say, quite properly the way they should have been, and it was super hard to get that nut lined up straight. And I want to make sure that everything is in there properly and whatnot. What I actually had to do is get a little knife and carve away some excess plastic that wasn't cleaned off there, off the hole from when it was made. Not a huge deal, but it definitely made this part a struggle. Now it is pulling that nut in there. Make sure I had it nice and straight. And again, do it like a car. Don't tighten one super tight and then go back to the other side and have it tight. Go around a little bit evenly. A little bit on each one until everything's nice and snug and tight. Now I just got one left here to do on the back. If you're having trouble figuring out which screws are which, it doesn't hurt to have a measuring tape or a ruler. I definitely cheated and did measure the screws before I start showing you guys and putting them in to make sure that I have the right ones, because that is definitely a mistake that could be made very easily. Okay, so now we get the back on, the sides on, the battery part. It's coming together nicely. Feels very strong already. Oh, there goes a little extra side piece of some sort. Now this shelf piece, you'll see here, it's very nice, has Summit on it. There's a groove here, and it just, I didn't even have to look at the instructions for this. It all just like pushed in there perfectly, fit very nicely. And I'm just going to refer to the instructions here, see what screws and bolts and whatnot I need for this to secure it all, and we'll get after that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, use these 7/16. They're just a little bit longer than the ones you were using before, and it's the same nut system where you're going to put the nut underneath. Kind of wish I read ahead. I would suggest maybe putting these nuts underneath here before you get it attached to the sides, but that's okay. This will work. So we'll go ahead and get the nuts in there. I'll be right back. And as you can see, it is a little tedious, but I'll get those nuts in there and then we'll screw that top on. Now, I must say that this really is a very nice way of doing it, where it holds the nut like in place securely. It's all cut out. But I really do wish that the holes were cut just a little bit cleaner to make it a little bit easier installation to get your bolt into the nut and whatnot. But you only got to do this once, so I guess it's not that bad. I can tell that nut isn't sitting right in that cutout portion in the bottom. Okay, all done that. Now, I would definitely recommend not doing it the way I just did it. I'd recommend putting these nuts in here before you screw this to the sides and attach it to the base and everything. That would have been much easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next part. Okay, now the next pieces we're going to put on are these little left and right pieces. They're marked which is which on the back. So the holes only line up one way. It's going to use the same nut and bolt that we just used on the top, and they're just going to go on there like that on either side. So again, like I said, it uses the same type system where the nut's going to be squeezed into this little hole. That one was pretty good. Some of them are, I don't know if it's printed or how they make this thing. I assume it's printed. Some of them are real nice and everything fits perfect. Like these ones here are all awesome. Or maybe it depends the guy that's working the station that day and whether he cleans them out nice or not. I don't know. Anyways, so again, I'm just going to do the same thing here. Screw these on. As you can see, left and right, clearly marked. I know there's going to come a time here, I'm assuming very shortly, that I'm going to want to start thinking about wiring. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I don't know why I'm thinking about it already. One thing for sure, I'm really glad I'm using hand tools. Really don't want to be using any power tool on this thing. You can really tell when you're putting this thing together that the way they've designed it, once it's all together, all these pieces really are going to be very strong, work in unison and supporting and keeping everything nice and strong and sturdy when you're bouncing down the lake or whatnot. Okay. We got all that done. And I think that's it for this page of instructions. Flip it over and see where we go next. Okay, so the next step, they say, is to mount this big heavy black box on here. That's actually going to go on the back, which is one of the things I really liked about the design of this shuttle. So it's going to go on like this. Your wires facing down. See, I got all the wire terminals going down. Man, that thing is heavy. And they're going to screw on with these 1-inch, and there's nylon nuts in here. So they're going to get a nylon nut, and they're going to get a little washer on both sides. So we'll put one on the front. When you look at your black box, you'll actually see there is a little spot in there, the hole for the washer. Very good design. And then the nylon nut on the other side, so it keeps it nice and secure, bouncing around on a four-wheeler or snowmobile or anything like that. You'll also get a washer on the back side. So, how am I going to do this? I put the battery in there to try to hold it up, but I don't think I like the way that's going to work. I think I'm going to lay it down like this and put it on. Yeah, it's very, very tippy. So I already see this is going to be a bit of a pain. What I'm going to do is at least one, I'm going to pre-screw this in here just a little bit. Just the holes are quite small. They're just a tad too small to make it easy, which is good. I mean, that's going to make it have a good fit, right? So I'm just going to pre-screw this just a tad so that hopefully when I get this heavy box on here, I can start it with my fingers. Yeah, that works. That worked really well, so I would definitely recommend that. Yep, that worked really well, guys. I definitely recommend doing it that kind of way. Again, I'm not going to tighten this, especially I've only got two in here right now, right? So I'm just going to get them screwed down a little bit more, and then I'll align it right up perfect where it's supposed to be. Loosen that a bit. I want that to move right up into that little smaller spot like so. Hopefully you can see that. There's a bigger area. Then you want to move it up to there to tighten it right down. Okay, so I'll just continue on here and come back when I got this all tightened down, again with the washer and the nylon lock nut on the other side. Snug them all slightly, one at a time, going around in a cross pattern, just like you would a car tire. For me, and I'm sure like I said before, a lot of you, this black box, you're going to have to take this off you know, every season to put on the boat, which is going to be kind of a pain. But what do you do, I guess? And this socket that I'm using is a number 8. Okay. There we go. We got the black box on there. Wires facing down. I have a feeling we're going to get into the mess of all these wires here very shortly. So I'll go ahead, read about the next step, and we'll get after it. So now I'm just going to clip the power in. I'm not going to hook it up. I'm just going to put the switch in. And I want it so that up is on. Okay, now we'll get to wiring here in a little bit. For now, I'm just going to put that through there. And it looks like there's little clips on here. Looks like I'm just going to have to push this in here. Oh, it feels sketchy. I don't want to break it. Oh, okay, there it goes. Rocked it. There it goes. Yeah, just be careful getting that in there. I felt it as soon as it was in the right way. I felt it that it just needed a little more pressure to click it in. Yeah, so I could feel that it wasn't in quite right, and you can feel the force that you need. Just be careful with it, and you'll get it on there just fine. And it just clips right into a couple slots. So I'm gonna really like this. Like being able to just turn the power to the whole thing on and off so you're not draining your battery or anything. That's going to be fantastic. So next, I believe we install the only accessory that I chose to get was the arm. I don't really use glow spoons and stuff like that, so it's got all separate hardware. So this is already screwed in here. We're going to have to take that out. Turn it around here so you can see it better. I probably should have filmed this from the other direction. But this is going to fit in here perfectly, right like so. Okay, you can see there's a bunch of holes and screws and stuff that are going to line up and that you're going to need to put in. And what I've noticed here is that it uses the same system as the rest of it, and this is going to use this 1-inch, and it fits perfect with a washer on it. But what you're gonna have to do again is take a nut and you're gonna have to get this nut up in here and then fasten it down. And we're not going to do that too tight once again, because there it goes. Actually, that wasn't too bad. I can see there's a spot here. You have to fit it and screw it into there. So get that on there like so. Okay, there we go. That took a little bit of finagling to get that going the right way. I'm just holding that nut from the other side so it doesn't fall out, and I'll be able to feel the screw secure into it, make sure it's right, which I can feel. And I don't want to go too tight, like I said, because down here there's another screw to be had. Okay, so the next step for this accessory is you gotta line that up there, use the other screw or bolt and feed it up into there. No washer, I believe. I noticed this screw has a tapered type of head on it, so no washer. We're gonna put a nylon nut again on this particular screw with a washer on the other side. Okay, I just learned something here. You don't want to screw that all the way in. You want to hold your nylon nut tight to it, because there's no room for that nut to spin once you get the screw into it, really, or for your ratchet. So I'm actually going to have to use a pair of needle nose or vice grips or something to hold that. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go get another tool. Okay, so this should do the trick. Just going to hold that nylon nut there like that. Screw it here. And I thought I was prepared and had all the tools I needed. Boy, was I ever around. So that feels good and snug. Again, you don't want to go too hard because that's really close to that edge. And I think you could crack it. Hopefully I won't need those again, but you never know. Let's put them there for now. Okay, so then you got these two screws that are more of a threading type, like a wood screw. You're going to put them right here in the front. So just go ahead and do that. These aren't threaded. You are threading them in as you screw. So again, don't go too tight on one over the other. Just slowly do each one until they're nice and firm and everything's secure. You can really feel it with these screws cinching down. You can feel it all, that it's come together, it's tight, it's going to be secure, so that's excellent. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to put the arm on itself. And I can just kind of see from looking at it that in order for it to all fold in properly and whatnot, like this, put this flat part on top. If you put it like that, it's not going to work right. So we'll just wedge that in there. And this already had this big bolt or screw already in it. So I know that's the one to use here. Wait, everything on this thing, this shuttle, really fits together snugly, which is a good thing. I mean, everything's nice and secure and snug. So that's excellent. Okay, so we're going to put a washer. Oh, I already left the washer on that big long screw or bolt. Okay, so the easiest way I just found to get this thing lined up was to face it sideways, and then I could kind of align the hole better, because that was a little tricky, but nothing you can't handle, that's for sure. Not too big a deal. Okay, so it's starting to stick out the bottom there. Make it just snug. The washer. Nylon nut. Remember, it is intended to swing and move, right? So, like, that's pretty good right there for me. I mean, it's a little stiff. It's not going to just move on its own, but it's not too tight. Look at that. That's going to be awesome. Just folds away nice. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to figure out where I need to go from here. Okay, so that took me quite a bit of time to wire this all up the way that I wanted it. And I had it all wired up because I was already using it. But you should know how all this wires up already if you're doing this. You see the wires coming out of the bottom there. And then they give you a nice diagram. And that really shows you different ways to hook up all your wiring to power your units. Now, the way I did it is I have a double spade connector for my charger here. So I ran the positive, negative back to the switch like the way it shows in the diagram. Just ran in my charger off this double spade connector here, so I can still charge the batteries when the power's off, but no power is going to go to the unit. You can see I got my power all tied up on this side with the Velcro ties. I'm sorry, not zip ties. Do not use zip ties. So all my power is on this side, and then that network cable I got up here against the battery, sitting up nice and neat. So now I'm ready to install either this bracket for the Garmin unit, and then the handle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install the Garmin bracket. You notice there's a slot in the back, just like when you're installing it on the boat. So when you put it on here, your wires will all be tucked up in there, and they'll come out of that bracket nice. Now, I think for the cleanest installation, I'm going to try to get it as flat mounted to the front of this shuttle as I can. On the back side, again, I noticed there's slots for these nuts. So I'll go ahead, I'll screw this on here and then tighten it all up. I'm going to leave them all a tiny bit loose so I can move the bracket around, make sure it's where I want it. And again, even this bracket, once I'm done here, I'm not going to be cranking this bracket down super tight or anything. Like, you really don't need to. Just nice and snug. You don't want to crack the Garmin bracket or the Summit shuttle. Okay, so now that I got all 4 in, I want to center this bracket up as best I can. So right there looks good. And then I'll continue to just snug it up. So there we have that on there. Nice and straight. Straight as I care about anyways. Looks good. Okay, so now we're going to install the handle. And that's where your transducer cord's going to nicely wrap around. So there's these square nuts. And they're going to fit right in these slots on each side. Cords right there. And then you're going to take a washer and the biggest nut that came with it, or I'm sorry, the biggest bolt that came with the shuttle. You're going to line up the hole and it'll thread nicely into that square nut that we put in there. I'm just going to make sure that's sitting straight. This is an 11. Again, I'm going to do a little bit on both sides, slightly tightening each evenly. Again, you don't want to over tighten this thing. Okay, there we go. I think that's perfect. There's our handle, our whole unit starting to come together. So now what I'm going to do, just for curiosity's sake, is I'm going to put the unit on here. I want to see that I have enough play with the power cable and everything. That I don't have too little or too much cord sticking out to adjust the unit the way I want it. It's actually perfect. I got just the right amount of each cord on there. Make sure when you're screwing these connections in that it fits in first and then screw it in. Do not attempt to get it kind of close and then screw it tight into the back of the bracket. That's how you'll definitely break something. So that's how I'm going to want that tilted just a little bit like so. Always use your dust cover, boat or on the ice, especially if you have the unit off. Okay guys, so here it is, the Bear shuttle. I'm going to put it in the bag here in a second. Looks pretty good. Seems like it'll work really nice with this arm and everything for the pole that we'll get out in a second. I mean, the cable going around the handle, it's probably like it's as good as you're going to get it. It's a bit of a pain no matter how you look at it. It is a big thick cable, but I do have it up really tight. When you get it in the water, you'll be able to adjust this no problem. Now let's go ahead and make sure it's all hooked up right. Pretty sure I powered it right. So with the power switch off, try to power your unit on, and it should not power on. Okay, good. So it's not doing anything. So power on, and your unit should power up. Perfect. That's about as far as the unit will tilt with all this cord on here, but you got to remember the way I coiled it, all this top cord, that's going to be gone to your pole and down into the water. So you'll be able to go ahead and do that, no problem. Make sure that your pan optic shows up, and it does. So that black box is all hooked up good and working. Excellent. Well, it was a little bit of a journey, I must say. But so far, altogether, it's fantastic how you can fit all of this stuff into one tight little package that's hole hoppable. Really is the thing, is that I can hole hop around, try some different spots for crappies or walleye or whatever. Also, when I'm just sitting in the hut all day long, it's great. Doesn't take up as much room in the sled. As far as the weight goes, as soon as you go to this live scope, you are adding a lot of weight with this black box. Even if you save with a lithium battery, you're adding a lot of weight with the black box. The shuttle itself weighed barely anything. Not even really worth mentioning the weight of that. So between this shuttle and making your own box like I did before, you're going to save a lot of weight just because this shuttle is so nice and light and it's compact. So go ahead and get the bag and let's see how that works out. So first thoughts, this bag, just pulling it out, it's really nice and padded. It feels like it's got really nice quality to it. Nice Summit fishing right on the front. There's 2 Velcro straps in here to strap it in around the sides, I'd imagine. The bottom is nice and hard, kind of a rubbery to keep the water from going right into the bottom. And the sides have these nice little carrying pouches. It feels very nice quality. Doesn't feel like super cheap or anything. It feels really nice. Handle for that way. A big strap for your shoulder. You gotta carry it. Another pocket on that side. Now let's go ahead and put the... It looks small. I hope it fits. Hopefully it'll start receiving here. Oh, this unit is heavy. There's no doubt about that. Wow. That is an absolutely perfect fit. The transducer, I believe, goes out this hole in the back. So conveniently, there's a hole right here. We're going to feed that through there. You got to remember with this thing, guys, like this is a $2,000 cable pretty much, $2,000 transducer. So you want to look after this thing. Now this pouch here looks pretty handy, but I'm not sure I like the protectiveness of it. I think what I'm going to do, seeing as how I was just looking at this over here on the side, so although that is a very handy feature, I just figured out something else that I should have ordered from Summit, but I didn't. I should have ordered the transducer cover. So for convenience sake, let's see how that'll work for me. I'll open that up. Pull out my transducer. I gotta put it on my quick pull. That's really slick. That is really slick. So all you have to do is swing out your arm, put your pole on there, your transducer, and you're ready to fish. It all tucks away nice and neat. Very, very slick. Really nice. I couldn't imagine any way possible to get this any smaller. You can't do anything with the weight of it. I mean, that's just the sacrifice. With this Summit shuttle, I don't think there's any way possible to get this any more compact or any lighter. That's fantastic. I'm really happy with that. So if you guys are looking at this thing, it did cost a fair amount, especially here in Canada. Now, something that I want to share with you, if you order this thing in Canada, I chose the shipping option DHL. I would definitely not suggest that. For one, they charge me duties and import fees and all kinds of stuff like that. And for two, the first time they shipped it, the shipping company lost track of it, wrecked the stickers or something, I don't know. Summit was awesome though. They shipped it out right away as soon as they heard about this. So go ahead and pick, even though it costs a little more, it should save you in the long run. Pick USPS because you probably won't get any extra shipping and import fees and all that kind of jazz that other companies kind of like to rip you off with and charge you with. So that's awesome. I'm really happy with that. Now, here's the pole that we're going to use. I'm going to wing this without instructions. Mostly because, again, with this accessory, there is no instructions. Pretty sure there should be, but... So that's obviously the handle. And this, obviously, is for the transducer. And they give us some Velcro to keep our cord all nice and in order. So see, that's going to go right on there. You don't need any of the shoulder brackets or anything like that. And you can rotate it to down or forward. So that'll work perfect. Now I just got to find my original hardware. The rubber washer and the screw and the metal washer that goes on here that comes with your stock bracket. Oh, I don't really need to show you that. If you've got this, you already know how to put that together. But the best part is you'll have your transducer on here. So this small little thing is going to be on my transducer. It's going to fit right in this side pocket. All you have to do is pull it out, put this on here, and slap in the pin. That is a really, really slick design. There's a groove, so it always goes in the right way. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you're done. And then, of course, you can extend it for different thicknesses of your ice or whatnot. But then it packs up so nice and small. That is fantastic. Now this collar here, this collar actually came with the arm. It's also grooved. I just gotta see which way it goes in here. Right there. Loosen that up. So your collar will go on. And then your handle is also grooved. A little thumb screw. This thumb screw is fairly tight. Well, that is awesome. So now you get to the lake. Instead of messing around with everything, this is all you're going to have to do. You can pull that out, pop your quick clip on there, pull your arm out, adjust this screw, and away you're fishing. Away you go. It couldn't be any easier. That's amazing. Well, very good stuff, Summit. I think I'm going to be quite happy with this. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hopefully this helped you out even a little bit, or maybe you were unsure of what the kit consisted or what the Summit shuttle was all about like I was. I just really didn't know. I thought, hey, that's a lot of money. Let's see if this thing is worth it. Because the way I was doing it was absolutely ridiculous, screwing all those Garmin poles together and lugging all these big boxes around for that black box and cords and everything. It's all tight and neat, put away in one spot, and you're ready to fish and hole hop with your live scope. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye.